are ready to introduce our speakers for this session. Please join me in welcoming to the stage from the European Commission, Timo Halontier, and from Mobile World Capital Barcelona, Paul Hortal.
I'm looking. Hello? Hello? Yeah. Good afternoon.
Hello.
So good afternoon, everyone. Timo, thanks.
Hi, Paul.
Thank you very much for being here. You work at the European Innovation Council. Can you give us more information about what it is, the European Innovation Council?
Yes, with great pleasure. European Innovation Council is really the big next player in the innovation ecosystem in Europe. What we do is that we fund, finance, and support in other ways European innovators. And we do that regardless of the technology maturity. We start from very early. It's starting with very science-based research projects, even at the university, even before the companies have been created. We call this EIC Pathfinder program. I'm personally in charge of that. And we do that in a classical European collaborative project. So these are typically universities coming together, sometimes with SMEs as well, sometimes without, where new paradigm-changing technologies are being discovered. And the idea is in these projects to have a proof of concept, the first demonstration that the new technology is happening. We then continue in a partnership with these innovators and those who are carrying with the ideas towards follow-on projects. And sometimes also other people join in the program if they come up with an idea which is already more mature and closer to the market, with the accelerator program. Okay. And there we work with startup companies, SMEs, who have an idea which is based on deep tech, how to go to the market. And again, we provide further funding there. And also the biggest novelty, which is really a game changer in Europe, we are also investing. And we are investing European Union money. So that's quite amazing if you think about it. You might have a European Union as a shareholder. Obviously, we are not doing that alone. We work in partnership with private investors. And typically, this is combined with the grant funding. So it's really tailor-made for the company's needs. The funding range, which we are talking about there, is 2.5 million euro of grant funding, similar amount maybe equity from our side. Of course, it depends a little bit on the needs of the company. And we also try to limit a little bit the devaluation so that we would not take too large shares of the company. And we do that. I mean, that would be the first round investment.
That's perfect, because we were talking about the importance to invest in science. We have a lot of unicorns in Europe in terms of we have, I don't know, we have Globo here in Spain, no? We have Wallbox, we have a lot of companies, but why science is relevant and why a public institution such as the EIC is investing in science?
I think that's where the biggest game changers are coming, and we truly want to have meaningful companies, and we have done so far really well as well. You mentioned unicorns. At the moment on our track record, we have been involved in 12 new European unicorns, the largest ones even valued at 5 billion euro at the moment, so well upscaled unicorn. But also, and this is also interesting, a lot of, let's say, next-level Centurion companies. We have well over 100 such companies, and indeed, often based on deep tech, and that's what is the strength in Europe. We have a very good scientific base. What we were perhaps lacking more in the past, and what we are trying to change now with the European Innovation Council, is to make sure that these good ideas, good startup technology-based companies, have the possibility to grow in Europe, have the possibility to go into the global league and grow indeed in the unicorn scale.
That's perfect. And you have a very big booth here in the 4 years from now. Why you have this presence? Why this scientific project needs to be part of the ecosystem? I think it's an obvious question,
Yes,
but
yes. No, thank you for asking that, because first of all, I want to emphasize that we try to be an active partner. I mean, maybe in the past, the Commission programs were just funding programs. Now we are actually really seeing beyond the projects. We are trying to be a good partner for the innovators so that we are coaching them, we are training them how to pitch, we are helping them to become master of the IPR rights, doing better technology assessments, and also to make sure that they meet good clients. And that's why we are here. We have chosen 20 companies. We are across this hall on the other corner. And we are helping them to make customer contacts. So we have chosen companies who are matching with the conference, who are, some of them startup phase, some of them are already a bit bigger, where there's one company which has already presence in the stock market even, but they are all still making it to the market. Okay. So we are helping them to make contacts, maybe with the whole 3 big players, for example, and other small companies. So there's a lot of bilateral meetings going on in our corner.
That's perfect. Going from tech to market, and we have also experience on that, it's quite tricky, quite complicated. Normally with innovation you go from a problem to a solution. Here we go from a solution looking for a problem. What are the challenges on this approach, of this tech push approach?
Yes, I mean this is the way we work. Indeed, is that these companies, they have a technology mind, and they start discovering something which is possible from the science space. They have an idea how the world might be changed thanks to their idea of a technology, and then it becomes a matching game where they need to see how that technology would become a business case, how to turn that into a value proposition to our customers. Who are my customers? How am I going to meet those customers? How I'm going to be entering? And by the way, we are talking about, of course, now, and particularly in this hall, a lot of startup companies. We do have also sometimes licensing arrangements happening. Okay. The researchers come up with a licensing scheme and realize that this is actually better to go like that. So we are actually quite open-minded to that respect as well. And we need to be patient also. Many of the companies are deep tech companies in our case. We work a lot of different technologies, not only on IT, like what one might think in this fair. In particular, for example, in healthcare, there's also a lot of regulatory aspects that need to be gotten right. And then we will work also with technology propositions that are way ahead, from the markets, like quantum computing, quantum sensing, where the lead times to the products could be in 10 years from now. So that's also another additional value from the European Innovation Council, that we are not pushing for quick wins.
Okay. We have here entrepreneurs, innovators, we have also corporations, probably also investors. How we can approach corporations, investors, entrepreneurs, experts to this kind of projects? We need them, absolutely. How we can better approach them, or how we can create a better, unique sell proposition to make them more closer to these projects, these scientific projects?
Well, we at the European Innovation Council, since we're working with the public money, we have open calls. So if there are innovators listening to this presentation, look at our website, look at our program. We have regular calls, depending a little bit type of funding you are looking for, several times per year, where you can come in and make your proposition. We evaluate the proposals with experts, and it's a tough competition. I mean, we are really looking for the excellence there, so unfortunately everybody can get the support. Then later on, if you have been selected, and if you are also, I mentioned earlier, interested in this capital investment, this is more hand-in-hand process where we work together with the company. We start looking for additional partners that would come in as investors to the case. So we have our contacts there, and we work and try to find a good match for the companies and the innovators there.
Okay. We were talking here a few years from now with the impact of Web3, of blockchain, of quantum computing, of frontier materials, etc., etc. Do you actually see what's going on in the labs in terms of this technology? Which technologies do you see that has more market potential?
Yeah.
Not technology potential, have more market potential in
Yeah.
5, 10 years?
This is the most challenging and difficult question, isn't it? Because you see a lot of potential new technologies. You mentioned some, like quantum. It's really hard to tell how the future turns out. And what we see, actually what is interesting in this respect to say, you need to be very open-minded. We saw a lot of what we call serendipity opportunities. That there's a technology which is developed with certain business case in mind, with certain idea of a use case. And then somebody comes around and says, well, don't you realize that actually what you have done is actually working very well in another case? And did you think about that your new battery technology is actually probably the best case for space at the moment? And you know, the inventors are not experts on all possible business areas, and also they need to be ready to change their mindset and look for an alternative path or a sort of a branch where some of their methods could be applied in another way. So it's a kind of an evolutionary process that we see happening in many of our projects, where original ideas are growing and maybe that works, but maybe there are other opportunities coming as well. So you really have to have, as a researcher, as an inventor, an entrepreneurial mind all the time and be open-minded on new opportunities.
Okay. Absolutely, absolutely. We are talking also about before on, I think that was yesterday actually, that you're in an amazing place because you can bet on which technologies have a more promising future, but these technologies are very raw at that time.
Yes.
How you assess this value? How you assess the breakthrough of innovation of that technology?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I mentioned the open calls that we have. So in order to choose which companies, which innovators we are funding, we use a lot of external expertise. I mean, we have thousands of experts that are evaluating the proposals. We rely on a lot of their opinion, obviously, in choosing where we go. And yeah, we take it from there. We also want to be open-minded. And what's important to realize that, in particular contrast to many other EU programs, we don't have a sort of a predefined cooking list that you have to match with. That we have an open call, it's not having any technology areas, so majority of our funding goes through this kind of a open house, where the inventor's idea and inventor's proposition is what we evaluate. However, in complementary to that, we sometimes and regularly do challenge-based calls where we pick up some promising areas where we call projects on there to see if we can build nice portfolios where a collection of projects come better than one project alone. So we are looking for example, in space technologies. Probably we will do something on solar conversion into new materials, etc., etc. So you need to have an open mind also from the Brussels point of view there.
Okay. I was reading now that we have dry power in terms of investment, we have talent, we have scientifics, we have science, we have everything. What makes us unique in terms of this geopolitical or technological fight between other countries, other regions, etc.? What makes Europe unique in terms of deep tech startups,
Yes.
science, etc.?
Yeah, we are basing our operations on European strengths. First of all, we have a very strong scientific base in Europe. We have excellent universities. We have also a very good practice of collaboration when it comes to the scientific collaborative projects. If you compare to the United States, each university has their own ecosystem around them. You see much less American universities collaborating together. We do that in Europe. We have a very good experience in doing that, which is an excellent way of making new discoveries. We are really encouraging also interdisciplinarity, so that different technology areas come together, and in this cross-section you make new discoveries. So that's a European strength which we are building on, and that's really a good starting. What we are now trying to fix with the European Innovation Council is to build up a system where we are following those excellent research propositions and projects with a direct and more immediate access to the additional funding. What we saw in the past, that we have excellent projects, people made good discoveries, they launched and created a new company, and then that new company was spending the first years in trying to talk to the investors and trying to make another group of people convinced about the idea. We want to change that. We want to be there together with them so that once the discoveries have been made in the laboratory, we are there to make a quicker transition towards the acceleration phase where the company can start growing and can start accessing with additional funding rounds and also get the extra support that I mentioned earlier. Yeah. Not all startup companies have expertise in IPR management, in entrepreneurship mind. Maybe there is a research team who has not done a company before, and maybe they need training and convincing, and maybe hiring a CEO might be a good idea and not trying to do everything yourself. So we are really trying to make a sort of a new way of working with the European Innovation Council, which would make us better, and then also later on allow the companies to grow and not end up being bought by the Americans or other continental owners later on. So it's really a new way of working that we are introducing with European Innovation.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Fully agree. In terms of sectors, which sectors will be more disrupted? Because you see science before investors, before corporations, before entrepreneurs. So what do you think? And maybe it's more for you, particularly, Timo. Which sectors do you feel that will be more disrupted, I will say, in the long run?
In the very long run, I think quantum is really promising, and it has a potential to really change the way we see things, the way we experience the universe, how we manage everything. It's really hard to say and see at the moment how revolutionary that change might be. If you think about the society before the electricity was there, maybe that's something to think about, you know. Maybe it's so profound and can give you an idea how it could change everything, basically. More, let's say, closer things. We have a lot of, let's say, merger between life sciences and informatics, bioinformatics, human brain communication. There's a lot of potential there which is starting to happen now. We have a lot of interesting projects there which are working, let's say, in this kind of a cross-section of interdisciplinarity. Then going more to the hardware and closer to the IT, maybe 2D materials. There is many different ways harnessing that technology and bringing that into the products. New revolutionary ways of organizing the computing as well. There is a lot of disruptive technologies around the corner, spintronics. Basically, alternative ways ensuring that the Moore's law will be still respected, and we are probably having all alternatives ways to CMOS, and I mean, the list goes on and on and on. We have 500 research projects, so it's quite a challenge to summarize it in a few minutes in a session like this.
Exactly. Yeah, the other day we were discussing internally in our team that public institution should be a Kickstarter and then an enabler. Do you agree? Do you agree on that statement?
I think we should be that. And if you think what's going on in Europe, we really need to have an active approach. The other continents are doing that as well. And we should not be shying away of giving all the support to the innovators that they need. and they are in the lead of our projects always. We are just the enabler there, making sure that, that things can happen.
Okay, okay. And any success story of deep tech projects that have received support from the European Innovation Council that you want to share, Timo?
Yes, I mean, if we look at the biggest success stories, I mentioned that one of the biggest companies that have grown from our programs is Relex Solutions. So it's a company valued about 5.5 billion euros. That's quite a growth. And they were working with us a few years back with the SME program at the time, with small grant money. So I think we have made a good contribution there. We have several other ones. Yeah, I mean, it's really hard for me to pick and choose, you know, the most successful ones that I should putting on the.
Probably you love all of them, no?
Yes, yes. One way for you to look at them is we have a sort of publication. We have an impact report that came out at the end of last year, where we are giving some examples of growth companies that we have been involved with, and then we have across this hall. On the other side of the opposite corner, we have 20 companies, as I mentioned, that we came with to this fair to show them and to have, let's say, a chance for them to make business contacts. But if you are interested in seeing as examples where we were involved, you have there. For example, there is one company working with us on quantum computing, IQM. It's very promising. World leader when it comes to the qubit developments, and that could be a good example of future game changer as well. So I think we have a quite nice portfolio of projects. We are currently working with 1,600 companies, startup companies. Many of them have already finished their grants, but we are still in active contact with them and bringing them to fairs like this one. We also do corporate days. If there are big companies here, we can do a sort of a tailor-made events where we choose interesting companies for their technology area, bring them and let's say organize confidential discussions on a tailor-made basis. So that's also a good way of drilling into what we are doing there.
How many of those grantees or beneficiaries from the Pathfinders has become a spin-off or has been licensed to a company? Do you have this? You can say that?
Yes, that's actually another good success factor. We have looked into our research grants.
Okay.
These are really, you know, low TRL, technology readiness level of 2 or 3. And we've asked the company, the researchers, as a follow-up to your research project, are you planning to get a company, or do you have already a company? And you know, it's amazing. These are really academic projects. In 20% of the cases, when we went and asked the question, they said that, yeah, we have already the company. We have already created the company, and it's there. And in addition to that, in over 50% of the other cases, they said, yeah, we're planning to do that. So we are arriving to a figure where well over 70%, almost 80% of the researchers are saying that I either have a company or I'm planning to create one in order to capitalize on my results. So that's explaining why the whole chain, where we are starting from research grants and linking that with a follow-on program accelerator and venture capitalism, makes sense, because there is this demand actually coming from the innovators, coming from the researchers, that they want to create companies and they want to bring their products to the market, and we need to be there to make sure that this is possible, and that we are not like we used to do, to be on our shame in Brussels. We used to leave them on their own and say, okay, go and find the funding from somewhere else. Now we want to be lifting away from this kind of a project approach into a more full partnership from the whole chain in bringing the technologies to the market.
Just to the crowd to get if they are not acquainted, how much it takes from a technology Pathfinder granted to the market, more or less. You explained me yesterday for 1 year that I think it's super quick.
Yeah, I mean, this is also a good aspect. What's the timing? And where do you start? And where? First of all, it's important to realize that there are different technology areas. So obviously in IT, that can happen very, very quickly, and you can have even very good spin-on. And then on other sectors, we are also funding, new drugs developments where the lead times could be in tens of years. And also in the quantum, I mean, this is also, lead times are very long.
Exactly.
And we need to be open-minded with our schemes. We need to be ready for quicker turnout times, and we need to be ready for being a patient funder as well. And maybe this is also another additional aspect that should be underlined here, that when we do these investments to the companies, we should be the one which is patiently waiting years if it's needed for the technologies to mature and to be ready there when the market is ready for it.
Okay. Last question, Timo. Any recommendation on which of the 20 startups that you have to visit? If there is someone from the energy sector, from the health sector, any recommendation, any one of those are good examples of what you do in the Podfunder?
I mean, it's really hard for me to pick up one. I know that you're coming back to the question. Well, maybe one of the most amazing projects which we are working on is that this kind of a spinal correction. We have, of course, situations where people are quadrileptic, so they have paralyzed in the body. And with our technologies that we are developing and funding, they are able to do bypasses on the spinal cord of the patients and making, limbs start to move again. It's quite amazing technology if you think about it, and really a game changer for those patients who are suffering from that kind of problems. This is still obviously a research project, but it's coming about to be materialized. Obviously, it's in a health care area, so the regulatory approval process is quite detailed, and there we are also helping the companies to be prepared for such approvals which are required in the health sector area. So, yeah.
Okay. We are running actually out of time.
Yeah.
I don't know if there is any scientist with an incredible a breakthrough idea or breakthrough scientific discovery, any recommendation on how to approach to EIC Pathfinder? There is a path, there is an open call. Can you stress that again?
Yes. So we have open calls. You can look at our website with your favorite search engine. You can also come and visit us. I mean, we are across the hall, so you can come and talk to us. We are there. I mean, primarily we didn't come here as a funder, but we are ready to talk to you and give you some advice there. There's also a good network of national contact points in all EU countries and associated countries. You can talk and find a national contact point, usually working very close to you, and you can have a, let's say, personalized advice on how to approach to us in your own language. So that's also a helpful way to get into our program.
Perfect. Timo, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Paul. Thanks for having me. And
big round of applause.
Opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you very much.